Well, we're started
you
right
know.
now because I figured
Oh, okay.
we'll
Well,
just go live. Yeah,
that'll
because both of our fans are here. You
there
know,
we go. Let's do it.
what song was that? Was that Hot Stuff, Donna Summer? See, I
Yeah.
nailed
Oh
it.
my God.
You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jourdan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Boom! That's exactly it.
Do that. Let's do that.
Woo!
You know that last part when you go boom like that? I always look at Victor Antonio and he's like, "What the heck just happened here?"
I think pretty much every guest that's on the show at one point goes, "What the heck just happened?"
Yeah.
But that's part of the,
That's
the
it.
live
That's
charm.
the whole ambiance of the place. So I'm here at my home base studios in the Southern Command Center.
Yes.
And because after 2 weeks of being, on the road, but by the way, on the road means it's Starbucks. By the way, it was a crazy thing. I was last week, I was just going bananas doing what I was doing. And I was watching people leave and, they would give me dirty looks and stuff. But then as I packed up and left, I had a little crowd of people around me. So what do you do? What's going on? It was like, I picked up like a new client. It was the greatest thing.
Nice.
I mean,
wow,
yeah,
it's like a new sales technique. Like set up a podcast in a Starbucks. Boom, warm leads.
Yeah, you don't even need a podcast. Here's the secret. You need a microphone. The thing that made the difference was the mic. It just gave you so much more juice. It's a sales tool. So even if you're doing just like a normal, webinar or something, or you're just on a Zoom call, get yourself a mic and you look like a pro. It's awesome.
Wow. It's the unintended benefit of a microphone. Not only do you sound better, not only will you look better and look like a podcaster, but you get people talking to you at a Starbucks that could eventually turn into some business.
Yeah. You know what? You should bring that up when you're out doing your Podfest or whatever.
I'll bring that up this week in Orlando. Like, just bring your mic with you, and you don't even have to plug it in. Just be like, "Hey, this is a mic. I have a thing."
It's true. It's really, you got to tell. As soon as you put it down on the desk, the first question is, "Oh, do you have a podcast?" And that's a challenge. Everybody has a podcast these days.
Yes.
Is that what are you going to talk about in Orlando?
Well, on Friday, I am doing a how to turn your Amazon show into a podcast. So it's a sort of a repurposing conversation with some big wigs, including Jim Fuse and Ross Brand, who just wrote a book, the top 100 predictions for 2023 for live streaming, and Jeff C., Mr. Manly Pinterest Tips. And then on Saturday, I'm actually going to be an MC all day on the video stage at Podfest. So I get to be you, I get to be sort of like the MC, the guy spinning plates.
The Deej. No, I think that's,
I will.
And nobody deserves it. Nobody deserves it better than you, because what you've done is you've built a little community around yourself in that world. And what salespeople need to know is that
both members of my community, both members will be there.
Well, again, both members of the community, but all of a sudden, hotshot. So the person with the mic is the person who sets the tone. So all eyes are going to be on you, which is great, as I point to myself. And this is exactly what our guest today has done so well for so many years. He's become the point man that you go to if you want anything in his community, and his community has just expanded because he's done, so many speeches all around the world. And that's how I met him. I met him when he was actually giving a presentation on helping job seekers, and I sat in on the thing. There was probably 30 or 40 people in the room, and they were saying, he was asking, okay, so what would you like to do? What kind of job do you want to get into? And as they told him, he was flipping through his phone and calling them and saying,
No
hey, this
way.
guy wants a job. He has that big of a network, and that's why he's so well needed in the community. And I just feel lucky enough to be able to call him my friend and get him here today on the Dan Jourdan Live Show. Please help me welcome the awesome, incomparable, my man, Steve Beecham.
Woo! Oh, we got the
That's right.
flag. Well, yes.
That's it.
As
good as
he's making the video, Dan. He's making the video. I mean, look at this. I mean, he's shadow boxing. We saw the whites of his eyes. Like the viewership is going up.
Yeah.
People are actually in here responding on the chat. David Webb, Nadine Wally. Like, you brought your fan club here, Steve. What's going on?
Oh, they love me, man. They love me.
Yeah, that's it. It was, Steve has a way of making everybody their friend. It's a lot easier to make a customer out of a friend. And so that's what he's doing. And so, and everybody just goes to him for all sorts of things. And so, I was thinking about you. You do mortgages, but you also, you give presentations on how to build and get leads and stuff, don't you?
Yeah. I call it my village. My village is right here where I'm located. I heard a guy from McDonald's, a guy that was the first marketing guy for McDonald's. He worked for Ray Kroc, and he said we were selling franchises like crazy. And one day I woke up and I said, man, we're in the hamburger shake business. We're not supposed to be in the franchise business. So he said, we went back and told everybody that was buying a franchise, you can't have another franchise till you own the hamburger and shake business within 3 miles of your current location. And I thought, you know what? I need to do that. I need to own the mortgage business right here before I start worrying about going somewhere else. And so that was a little bit of, I have all these little things that kind of game changers, I'm sure like you do, that go, oh yeah. So I started thinking about how do I own my village? And that's kind of been my, my life's work, how to do that.
Yeah. And you, but listen, for people who are just getting started, they don't have the village. And, everybody wants to be seen as the expert, seen as that kind of kingmaker, but really just don't have the connections. How do they build it up without just, you go to networking meetings and you wind up, you have a bunch of insurance agents and, florists and network marketers.
Well,
do you embrace those as much as you embrace everything else? Or do you do it strategically?
Here's the thing. So, Joe Girard, the world's greatest car salesman, says he went to a funeral and he asked the funeral director how many people come to a funeral. And the funeral director said, everybody knows 200 people. Then he went to a wedding and asked the wedding person how many people come to a wedding. She said about 200 people. And he said, well, I figured everybody knows 150 or 200 people. So if I can get my 150 to tell their 150, he said, that's all the cars I need to sell. And so that's my theory is how do I start off with 20 or 50 or 100 and then start getting it to go bigger, but what I have found is that everybody I know that is in, my kind of world where you're like insurance guy, banker, mortgage guy, real estate agent, you're working on your community, the more groups you join, the more you're going to grow your business. And so what happens is you join a group, let's say it's a Rotary Club or the Chamber of Commerce, and you go frequently. Well, that becomes a habit, a marketing habit. And because you go frequently, you end up, meeting more people. It's the same reason why if you go to a church, there's somebody's going to grab you and try to get you in the Sunday school class, because they know if they get you in a Sunday school class, there's a smaller group of people. You'll get to know that people. And then when you're at church, you'll see the people from the Sunday school class. You'll feel warm and fuzzy and you'll come back. And that's the same theory I use. So
you see, this is why I love I'm on a on binge of just kind of like old school habits that seem to be working, sending out letters, sending out cards, doing the whole thing. And like bringing up Joe Girard, people don't know that's an old school book that everybody, God.
Hey, it's not old school, it's vintage. It's evergreen. Yes.
But
yes, come on. Let's work a little marketing in this, shall we?
Yeah.
Hey, I started doing this other thing I'll tell you about, Deej. It's and this has been sort of a little bit of a game changer. So I said, we just need to meet people. Like, if I'm a mortgage guy and you ask other mortgage guys, they say we need to meet real estate agents. But I'm going, but I get loans from people other than real estate agents. Everybody I know knows somebody's going to buy a house eventually, right? So everybody's a prospect. So I came up with this thing I call the top 100. So every year I make this list of the top 100 people I want to meet in my community that I don't know right now. That could be my mayor. It could be my kid's teacher. It could be a high school principal. It could be the fire chief, anything like that. And so I just build this list and I go to them and say, hey, I just want to meet you. You got a cool job or you're a cool person and you're significant in the community. And I just want to know you. I don't need anything from you. I just want to meet you. And it's amazing when you go in somewhere to meet somebody and there's no agenda. Right. Everybody wants to talk. And so we do that. And
that is money.
That led me to a thing that I'm working on. I'll try to move my camera. It's called the Top 100 for Life. So now I've done that. Let's see if this camera will go. So you see that board right there?
Yeah.
Those are rock star people that I want to meet, like Tony Robbins or Oprah or Arthur Blank or Hurricane Hannah. Do you know who that is?
Hurricane Hannah?
No.
I want to meet Hurricane Hannah just for the name.
He was like the world champion motocross racer in the late 70s. And so I was a big motorcycle guy and I thought, man, wouldn't that be cool? He's one of the guys that's still alive,
Really? Not like Evel Knievel?
Yeah, well, no, he's dead anyway, so I missed it.
Yeah.
But,
I remember when I first met Steve, it was because I was on that board. And so he had to go after. But there is something to that. That's so good, Steve, that I gotta push back at it. It's just when you call somebody, just say that I want to meet you, not for anything. I just think you're a special person in the community, and I want to be able to say that I know you, and just whatever. You're in essence, you're giving them like the greatest compliment you can. You're calling them and referring to them as significant, as as important, and feeding that we need. It's impossible to say no to that. And then you live it up. You live through it.
Yeah. So the first guy I wrote down there was a guy named Millard Choate, who's a commercial contractor in town. And I had been reading in the Business Chronicle for years about he did a ESOP where he sold his company to his employees. And then the IRS came in and said, no, he valued it too high or whatever. And he was saying in the Business Chronicle, no way, I'm going after the IRS. And I'm thinking, this guy is crazy. They're going to wear him out, And I'm thinking, boy, he's got big ones, So I'd always admired the fact that he was willing to take on the IRS. He was the first person I wrote down on a Thursday night. Friday morning, I walk across the street to go to Rotary, and our speaker is Millard Choate. I could not believe it. So he speaks, and after the speech, I walked up to him. I said, Miller, I've been doing this list of the top 100 people I'll meet for life. You're not going to believe this. You're number one on the board. He said, no way. I said, yeah, my office is across the street. Come over and let me show you. He comes over. He goes, oh, my God. I'm up there with Oprah and Kirby and Ted Turner and Tony Robbins. I'm like, yeah, man, you're number one. I said, tell me the story. He told me, he stayed here for 30 minutes telling me the story about how he won this lawsuit with the IRS. And so then I got really more excited about doing it. So it's pretty cool.
So once you meet all of these people, and okay, so if you had to put a number on the people that you've put on that 100, if you had to put a number on how many that you've put up there that you've actually met, I mean, how many would you say?
9. I don't have 100 yet. I've met 9 out of about I don't know, maybe there's 30 names up there.
Hmm.
So like Vince Dooley,
Yep.
coach of the Bulldogs.
Oh yeah.
I put him up there. I get invited this trip to go to Nicaragua with the Rotary Club guys. And I'm on the bus and Vince is on the bus. And I don't say anything. And we get to our room assignments and they say, Vince Dooley and Steve Beecham, y'all are roommates.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking there's two sides to this. Now I'm not, my sales head is kicking in. This is money. You're talking about golden nuggets. This is like platinum. All right. So the first thing is it's a perfect first message to somebody. Hey, you're not going to believe this. You're on my top 100 in the world list. And they're going to say, what's that? So you have an immediate conversation. That's the first thing. But the second thing is internalizing it. You need to do something. I'm talking to myself right now. You need to do something that's so special that you get on somebody else's top 100 list.
Okay.
Not only does it force you to get better, it forces you to contact more people. It forces you to get better. And you know what I say, Chris Stone? If you want to be a great salesperson, first be a great person, baby. What do you think of that, Steve Beecham?
Well, I love that, man. But I don't want people to forget about the power of just creating a top 100 list every year. Because when you call the school principal or you call your kid's teacher and you just say, hey man, I make a list every year of 100 people that I think are influencers in the community. I want to know more about you. I want to know how I can help you. And then I always use the sidebar. Hey, I'm in the mortgage business, so I meet a lot of people. So anyway, and I know a lot of people. So anyway, I can help you. I'm here to help you. And I went to the principal and he's like, man, that's awesome. He said, we need to get the Rotary Club and the school together. And I'm like, we got a thing called Rotary Act. Next thing you know, we started one in the high schools by just calling the principal and saying, hey man, I really, really like to meet you. It's
Who's that in the background? Who's that in the background?
That's Amy.
Amy, come on.
Hi,
Say
Amy.
hello, Amy. What are you doing there? Come here. Join the family.
Yes.
Hey, Amy, you are a rock star. You know how many people would have come up and actually done this? Like zero. You are brave and courageous. Yes. I think nothing but good things.
Amy's
about
on
you
the top
today.
100 list for the
That's
Dan
right.
Jourdan
You're
Live
on
show.
my
Right
top
there.
100.
She's already checked off. I already met her.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So one thing you need to know about Steve, he is, the way he's coming off right now is kind of like, hey, I'm just a country. By the way, you need like a theme song, like for your Steve Beecham is the place to be. Oh, living is the life for me. Land spreading out so far and wide. If you need a loan, what's the name of your company?
Hometown Mortgage.
Get it, Hometown Mortgage now.
Kind of hard to get in there.
You got to get it in there. No, but he is, he lives like he acts here. And so you tell me about your passion for Scotch or something. What is your bourbon?
So I went to this marketing school out in Austin. It's called the Wizard Academy. It's fantastic. Y'all need to go. And they do a lot of stuff on different marketing and how you write your marketing and all that. But when I was out there, the guy said, hey, I'm going to start this whiskey sommelier school because nobody's doing whiskey sommelier, because why I want to do it is because you don't know the difference in these two bottles. And it's about the story you tell about the bottle, which is the same with your business. It's about the story you tell about your business. So he started this whiskey sommelier class. So I started going, and now I'm a whiskey sommelier. I'll show you my thing here.
All right. Cheers. This is brilliant.
Yeah.
So now I got
yeah.
whiskey sommelier badge. Anyway,
Dang.
I went out as a Scotch drinker and came back as a bourbon drinker. And so now I do whiskey tastings. And so it's all about telling the story of the whiskey. And so I'm just a big bourbon guy. I got big bourbon. I don't know if you can see back there. I got a couple of Pappy Van Winkle and stuff.
The wildebeest.
Right. And so here's
like,
the thing. Steve will invite you over to his house. That where you are right now, that's behind your house, right? It's
right.
Yeah. And you're like, there's 2 shot glasses on the table. It's like you don't have a chance. You just, I mean, you don't. You really, you don't stand a chance.
I tell you what, I love the sommelier like medallion that I mean, it's like a Mr. T meets Flava Flav from Public Enemy kind of thing going on.
And this dude weighs like 10 pounds. It's crazy how heavy it is.
I think I'd wear that everywhere I'd go, Steve. Like
well,
that would be just a part of my, thing. That's amazing.
It'll stop a bullet. That's what that thing's for. So here's the it's Steve Beecham. We're talking about building a family and building community. So on now in this day and age, with all this technology, your living room is basically Main Street to a much larger town now when you're all over the place. But only if you have a producer as good as Chris Stone. I just got to say, because listen, no matter what, he does all the whammo zammo stuff. We got it. There's a lot of people can do that. You know what he does better than anyone else? The man is a consummate seller. He just knows how to sell to me. He laughs at my stuff and feeds my ego. I mean, he like belly laughs with things. It adds years to my life when he does stuff like that.
That's awesome. Well, I want to tell you about one of the things I do with technology. I think is cool. Is find my phone. What I realize is this is a Google search machine. And so what I started doing is, if I want to get a lot of referrals, I gotta give a lot of referrals. So now when I meet people, I don't just put their name in there. Like my kids will have Scott and a mobile phone number, So I'm teaching them, no, you got to put Scott, and then you got to put his last name, and you got to fill out the contact thing. But if Scott's an attorney, you don't want to just put attorney. You want to put what kind of attorney is, divorce attorney, and you want to put the name of the firm that he works for or anything that would get you back to him. So that way, when I'm at a party and somebody goes, yeah, I'm getting a divorce, I got to get a divorce attorney, I'm going to go to my phone under contacts and I'm going to type in divorce, because that's the way they gave it to me. And then all of a sudden, everybody that's a divorce attorney that I know shows up. The same thing with plumbing. If it's J and B and I don't put plumbing in there, or I don't put electrician in there, or I don't put speaker or author or whatever, all the great stuff about you in there, then I'm not going to find you when somebody needs you. So that's smart. That's been huge for me, is to make sure that I've got exactly in that contact the way that somebody's going to ask me about you, so that I can get them to you.
That is so extra mile. Actually, Chris Stone, on the right, there's some LinkedIn users that are talking to us. Go ahead and put them up there. Yeah, like this LinkedIn user. LinkedIn user, if you're still here, you're doing the opposite of what he's talking about. You're not even putting your own information on that thing. And
LinkedIn user, if you go to StreamYard.com/LinkedIn, then it will connect LinkedIn with StreamYard, and we can see your lovely face. I'm sure it's lovely because you do know Dan. But yeah, I mean, I think that's smart, Steve. I think the other thing I've seen people do, it can be awkward. You don't always get to do this, but on the smartphones, you can take a quick picture with them, or maybe do a selfie with them and add that to the context. And now you've got visual, right? Or if you had that conversation and they said something about an orange or, whatever, just like put those words in.
Yeah, and the note section, what I do.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And then there's two sides of this. This is great. Steve Beecham, officially the best guest of the week. I mean, you're dropping nuggets left and right. Oh, look at LinkedIn user JD. Okay.
It's JD serving the community.
JD
serving the community
awesome.
With tech.
I think he's back in town. He was gone skiing for weeks. Steve, so there are talk about technology to do that. It's one thing to get up somebody's information, but it's also good to get into their phone. And if there's a couple of websites that can do it, but I think one of the most popular right now is something called Popl, Popl. You could pull it up, Chris Stone. It'll help a lot of people. Basically, you just bring your phone next to theirs, put it right on their phone. You get their information, they get yours with your face. But once you're in somebody's phone, they'll probably answer it a lot easier than if you're not. So that's one of the important things of your contacts. Get into other people's phone as well. I love that idea about giving referrals. And so if someone's looking for a divorce attorney, it's so good of you to get so many people divorced. I think you should be proud of that. You're doing, but
what about plumbers or tree guys or, there's a lot of other things, but I'm just using that because people will put, they'll put somebody's name, Scott Smith, and they'll put attorney, or they'll put King and Spalding, and then you never send them any leads because you don't know what to send them unless you just remember it,
So the pushback you'll get from people, I know the answer, but I want you to say is, what are the people are changing jobs so much and all that stuff. So your information's wrong.
Well, but not typically the category of what they do. I mean, if they're in accounting or attorney work or plumbing, they might change companies, but I'm really getting to them because of the category of business they're in. So, I mean, that happens, but not a lot. I don't find it to happen a lot. I really don't.
And do you find that that just the theory of reciprocity kicks in, that people? Okay.
Yeah. So now
someone puts their head like that, Chris Stone, you got to make them big.
Here comes
they're about to drop some bombs here.
All right. So one of my theories, or one of my tactics, is what I call direct connect. So what happens is, like, you call me, say, Beach, I need a plumber, and I either give you, hey, call John at this number, or I'll text you the plumber. And then I see the plumber, I invite him out to my house because I got a plumbing problem. Say, hey, did Deej ever call you? And he goes, no. So he never got the wow that I thought about him. So I'm not getting any reciprocity from him. So if I wow you because I've got a plumber and you need a plumber, I'm going to get reciprocity from you. But if you don't ever get a hold of the plumber, then he never knows that I sent you to him. So now what I do is, you call me, say, I need a plumber. Hang on a minute. I call the plumber, get him on the other line. Hey, Chris, I got a customer for you. Hang on a minute. I tap y'all in. Deej, meet Chris. Chris, meet Deej. Deej, tell Chris what your problem is. And I listen to y'all talk for a minute. Or if I'm busy, I was like, look, y'all change phone numbers and call each other. Or if I get Chris the plumber's voicemail, I'll bring Deej in and say, hey, Deej, I'm getting his voicemail. Let's leave him a message. And you say, hey, it's Deej. I got a leak. I need you to come get it, blah, blah, blah. That is the most outstanding thing to do, because that way everybody knows you were trying to connect them. And so what in my world, I get a wow from Deej. I get a wow from the plumber, because your pain is his pleasure. And now I've got twice as much chance for reciprocity than if I just gave you his name and number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the obviously you are coming without an agenda. You have an intentional, like, I want to connect these people. I want to help these people. This is clear in terms of that. But what have been some of the unintended benefits of being of connecting people like that? Like, you've got all these stories of meeting people and connecting people, but what has it turned into something that benefited you outside of just the, the nice, I'm helping people out type of deal?
Yeah. I tell people, it's like, if we're at a bar and you see this girl you want to meet, right? And you go over and you talk to this girl, how does that conversation usually go, right? You can't walk over there and say, hey, look at me. I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. I got a Ferrari and a waterbed, right? What you do is you go over there and you say, hey, I'm Chris. What's your name? Where do you live? Where are you from? What do you do? So it's all about them. So that's the way I do every interaction, is when I meet somebody, I want to interview them. I want to know all I can about them. And then an amazing thing always happens. If they're worth a damn, they'll turn around and say, now, who are you? Where are you from? They ask me the same questions back. And that way we both walk away with a little knowledge of each other. And then we decide if we want to have another date. Right. And so I think that's one of the cool things. And so every time I do that, I have this other theory that I call paint a better picture. So what I realize is, if I just tell somebody, hey, I'm in the mortgage business, then they're probably not going to send me somebody. But I might say, hey, I'm in the mortgage business. So do you happen to know any really cool, fun real estate agents? So I add that little piece, somebody that works for like Keller Williams or Harry Norman or Remax, I'll add those pictures to what I'm looking for. And they almost always go, yeah, a good friend of mine, she works for Keller Williams, or my neighbor or my cousin or my sister. Man, I'd love to meet her. Bam, I get it. I get an instant. So that's what people don't do, is they describe what they do so generically that the other person doesn't know how to send them a referral. So you got to be better at painting the other person a picture of what it is you're looking for. So when they see that picture, they'll send it to you.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's very good. When in the sales world, the technology that you're using behind that is you're getting to take a smaller step. It's a difficult step to give somebody a referral, because you're asking for trust for someone that you may not even know all that well yet. And by saying no, you're saying, I don't trust you. And so like that conversation is very awkward. By doing that little extra step, that extra piece, you're allowing them to take a small step. Everybody knows a real estate agent, and that's no risk. Oh yeah, I know a real estate agent. You can call this person, you can do something like that. And that moves it. That's a very important kind of marketing tool that you're using there. You've got your lead magnet, which is yourself. Boom, how you doing? Oh, they have some sort of interest. And now the call to action. What can I do? Make that call to action as small as possible. For some people, it might just be, hey, can you follow me on Instagram? I want to get more followers. Something that's easy, that's not going to cost them anything, and get their information. And they can feel good about
their pain, though, DJ. When I'm talking to somebody I'm meeting the first time, I'm looking for a way to help them. That's my main. I'm asking them questions to try to figure out where can I hook them up with somebody to sell to? Can I hook them up with somebody to interview with? Can I hook them up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a place to buy or whatever it is? I'm looking for that so that I can refer them to somebody to do that direct connect. So I'm always after that.
What are the types of questions that you ask someone who's hesitant when you're talking to them about, what do you do, and like what exactly is that? Like they may talk about some sort of business and you're completely unfamiliar with it, right? Yeah. Well, what are some of the questions that you would ask them so that they can sort of peel it apart, so that you can take that and have that be of use for you?
I don't know that I got what I'd call structured questions. I'm just in my mind. I want to be really, really clear. Who is somebody I need to send Chris? So Chris, tell me about what you're doing. Tell me how you're building your business. Who are the kind of people you're looking for? I mean, who likes to do a podcast? There's certain groups of people. I'm really in my mind. I'm trying to figure out, man, how can I get you another Deej, So that's where my brain is. I'm focused on giving, not receiving. So I don't ever know where my next deal's coming from. But what happens is when you do that is when they do call you, they never ask you about your price. In my world, they don't ask me about my interest rate. They just call me and say, hey, Deej told me you were the guy. What do I need to do? Yeah. So it's a lay down. And so I don't do any cold calling. And I know that's not what a lot of other people do, but all mine's warm. So I'm trying to do everything I can to warm it up. Or the other famous thing I like to ask people is, hey, I need some help. Do you know anybody that can help me with this? So, I need some help. I'm trying to grow my mortgage business. And right now is a great time to meet real estate agents because a lot of them are slow. Do you know anybody that's a really good agent that's like a fun person? That's the way I would ask somebody. And I found that if you ask that way, people will go, I want to help this guy. It's like he's hurting and he needs some help, So that works a lot for me too.
That's money. I mean, it's right. Again, all old school stuff. I wonder if you can help me type of things. You're hitting all the points, but I will disagree with one thing. That is your cold call. I wonder if you can help me. You're doing it in person. That is your cold call. You're not asking for business, but you're starting the relationship. People think the cold call is there for selling. No, it's just there to fill the funnel. And that's what you're doing. You're filling the funnel when you meet somebody new.
Yeah, which is like my top 100. It's basically a cold call. You're right. That's a good point.
That's right. Well,
Here's
it could make
another
it.
thing that I do, Deej, that so when I got into speaking business, you know, which is a totally different business than the mortgage business, you know, it took me about 2 or 3 months. And I go, gosh, it's just like starting a bakery. You know, I got to go meet new people and do new things and try to find a way to get that. So I started doing this thing. I call it R&D, for research and development. So what I started doing is I'd sit out here on a Sunday at my computer, and I'd go in there and I'd put, I'm trying to think who would hire me to speak. So I put in A, and then I said, what's a company that starts with A, and I've typed in automotive, and then I go automotive Atlanta or automotive Alpharetta, and then all this stuff starts showing up. I started going through the pages of Google, and about page 4, Goodyear shows up, Goodyear Tire Centers, and I go, gosh, I know a lady that owns some Goodyear Tire Centers. So then I go look at her website, and then I look at, she's got 14 locations. And then I go, okay, she's got managers, she's got salespeople, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to call Dolores and see if she needs a speaker to talk to her salespeople. So after that, I started going through Google, and I would put A or B or C. I just put in a letter and think of a category of business, and then go through Google to find something that looked like a local company that was big enough to hire me to come in and do some sales kind of speaking. And then I would go to their website, and then I would find out who I needed to talk to by their website, like the owner or sales manager or whatever. And then the third thing I would do is I'd become an FBI agent. So then I go on Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm trying to see who I know knows this person. And then I start building this, you know, this wall around this person by calling people. Hey, Deej, do you know Dolores? Will you give her a call and tell her I'm a good guy, good speaker? You know, hey, Jim, I see you know Dolores. We call. And several times I had the person I was going after call me and go, man, who the hell are you? Everybody's calling me about you. But if I could get one or two, so my theory is if there's more than one person talking about you, then it's the gospel. So if one person tells you a restaurant's good, you go, okay. But if 2 people tell you that restaurant's good, then by God, it's good. And so all I'm trying to do is get at least 2 people to tell somebody that I'm a good guy or a good speaker or whatever, so that when I get to them, they already kind of know about me, or they've got some info on me. And that's helped me a lot. That's
That is so great.
Surrounding the wagons. It's like, you know, the Indians are coming, and we're out there on a wagon train, and we circle up the wagons to keep the, you know, the Indians are on the outside. So in my mind, it's like I'm in the center in the fireplace in the middle of the wagons, and I'm trying to get to all these people. I'm trying to get these people to help me get to that person I'm trying to meet. I'm trying to circle the wagons around this person, so that when I do get to them, they go, hey, man, I heard about you.
That's just such money. And what I love about you, Steve, and what you're talking about is, like, you know, the whole Zig Ziglar thing. You know, you can get anything in the world you want if you help enough other people get what they want, which is a great line, but it's like a highbrow thing. You're bringing it right down on how you do it today. And with all the LinkedIn and all the Facebook, it's a lot easier to find those people around to circle the wagons. By the way, it's Native Americans. I got canceled off of YouTube for saying shot instead of, the virus thing. And they demonetized me on a couple videos. So anyhow, yeah, listen, we lived through it, you know? Yeah. So you're, explain to me and to the listeners what that conversation looks like when you finally let's say Dolores didn't call you, like you were going to call Dolores after a couple people called her and said, hey, he's a good guy. What is that phone call or that meeting? What does that sound like?
I don't know. Usually when I call, they go, yeah, Jimmy told me about you. And I'd say, I don't ever sell directly in. So I would say, Dolores, you know, I've written a couple books, and I talk about, you know, how to get people in the town I want you to be the tire person in town, right? You sell Goodyear tires. And if you ever come upon a time when you need somebody to come in, you've got your annual meeting or your quarterly sales meeting, and you need a speaker to come in and talk about that, I'd love to do that. I'd love, if you don't mind, I'd like to send you a video or two of some of the stuff I talk about. So I try to warm it up, and then I kind of just follow up down the road. I'm just trying to think. Like I'm fixing to do. You know who Fran Tarkenton is?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Fran's got a business that's called Tarkenton Financial, and Tarkenton Financial sells to independent financial guys, and they're having their annual meeting next week, and I'm speaking at that annual meeting. So how did I get there? So one day this guy calls me and goes, "Hey, I'm trying to sell an Alpharetta, and everybody tells me you're the guy in Alpharetta." As I said, "Well, come on up." He sits down. His name is Chris Morocco. Chris Morocco was quarterback at Clemson back in 80s. And so we're talking about Dabo and Clemson, and I'm giving him out people to go see based on what he was trying to sell. He's like, "I'm trying to meet these kind of people." I'm like, "Here," and I'm just printing out names for him, contacts. "Here, call this guy, I'll research it, email me, tell me you want to meet him, and I'll connect you. However I can help you." And then he goes, "How can I help you?" And I said, "Well, do you know anybody in the financial world?" Because I was doing a lot of financial guys. He goes, "Yeah, my friend Matt Tarkenton, who's Fran Tarkenton's son, runs Tarkenton Financial. I'll hook you up." "No, I'll call him right now, just like you did for me." So then he calls Matt, and I talked to Matt, and I'm like, "Man, if you ever have a meeting, you need a good speaker, let me send you some stuff." I'm doing my second one for him. So
that is awesome.
That's how
You see that? Real world ideas that take place. So let's get Chris Stone some more business.
All right.
So yeah, let's
Chris,
say
who's the perfect person for you? I mean, what kind of person?
Usually someone who is too busy to do a show, even though they know they need a show or a podcast.
Okay,
that's what we do for them. All in.
Down for me better. So, what does that person look like? If I see them, are they a banker, or are they a real estate person? Are they somebody that's already doing a lot of social media? What are they?
Not necessarily. They have to have money. Clearly, I don't do this pro bono. Who was it that says you got to solve rich people's problems because they pay more?
Yeah.
But it's someone who is someone that's got some juice. Someone that's
know necessarily that this guy's got money or not. But do I need? So help me get real tight on that. Help me. I mean, is it like somebody that's written a book?
Can be. Just to give you an idea, like I met Mr. Jourdan here at a job seeking thing, RUMC.
At RUMC.
Yes.
Remember that?
And
Steve does that too.
I knew that this was someone that had something about him, that he had a message. I'm
not gonna know that, right? I'm not going. What I don't want to do is say, "Hey, meet this guy," and you go, "Man, he ain't got it," right? You got to help me figure out. I mean, like I got this friend of mine, Mike. He was a CEO of a company. He's written a leadership book. He's trying to go out and speak on leadership. He's got the means, I think. Would he be a good person?
Okay, so to break that down, I would say someone that's good on camera and a mic, right? So someone that's somewhat of a charismatic, gregarious type of person that has something to say.
Mike Pitcher, look him up. Look him up on your internet right now. Mike Pitcher, Pitcher.
Hey, let's do it live, Chris.
Great accent.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, really?
Mike Pitcher speaks.
Yeah,
this is him.
All right. I know Mike. He's a cool dude.
Okay.
I mean, would he be a potential prospect?
He could be, sure.
Okay.
So this is the first thing I do. And it's for those that are watching, if you're dealing with someone who's a producer, if you're dealing with someone that's a podcaster, if you don't have video, they're not going anywhere. This is a dead stop for you if you don't have video of yourself, which, by the way, good job for you, Steve. You got tons of video on your website. That's like, obviously, as a keynote speaker, you know that. But if you don't have a video on your website of whatever it is, then no one's gonna touch your stuff. So yeah, this guy's got I mean, it's a
Okay,
little
look up
takes a
a
little
guy
bit more intentionality on hearing what he's got to say. But
All right, look up a guy named Bruce Pulver, Pulver.
You see, and this, for those people watching, this is something that you could be doing in your own business. So if you're around, Steve, let's say someone who's watching this show, whenever they're watching the show, if they decide to pick up the phone and call you, will you accept their call?
Everyone, yeah. I make my money on the phone.
Yeah. So we'll make sure you can. Well, so and by the way, I've had at times when people do that with me too. They'll just almost like sheepishly pick up the phone and call me. Man, just call. We're just you're not insulting anybody. And if I can't answer, someone just call me now. If I can't answer, we'll call you back later.
so here's the perfect example here. So Bruce Pulver, no video on his website. All right. So
see now
well, he might.
But what I'm trying to get people to realize is, see, I wouldn't know. I would have thought he would be a good prospect just because in my mind, I'm thinking if he's an author, he should have content, right? But that's why. So maybe that's the first thing. Hey, who do you know's got a lot of video on their website or posts a lot of video, right? That would be a way for a picture for me to know who do I know is doing a lot of video.
mm-hmm.
A lot of people are doing still stuff. Not a lot of people are doing video. But as I go through Facebook and LinkedIn, I can, over the next couple of days, I can notice who's doing video and who's not.
Yeah, and so what we could do, Chris Stone, is if you find someone like that, I'll give him a call.
Go look up Dave Dooley, D-A-V-E,
and I'll have him on the show.
D-U-L-E-Y. He's a financial advisor. So I have a guy come in and we film once a month where we cut all these we call them educational videos that we put out on social media all the time. And so I've turned this guy on to my friend Dave, who's a financial advisor, and he's been doing he's got this same video guy coming in and doing his videos every other week. So he puts out a video email a lot. He would be a great prospect.
I think Dave needs a little SEO juice. It's a little hard to find his stuff.
He's spending big money on that, so that's not good.
Nope. I mean, when you Google, Dan, what's the phrase? If you Google your name and people find out you're an axe murderer, it's not good. But if you Google your name and they don't find you, it's worse. Something like that.
Just
something
another
am I paraphrasing wrong?
No, just another reason to love Chris Stone. All my little lines he memorizes and utilizes. Yes, it's a bad thing.
That's good for your client's ego, clearly, Steve.
All right. So what about categories of business? What type of business are people in that are good for you? Or what's a category you don't have right now? Like you got sales guys and authors. Do you need a financial guy? Do you need a real estate person? What do you need?
Well, and let me just, before you answer that, let me just butt in for the people who are watching or are going to be watching these type of questions. I want you to answer those questions for yourself. When he's answering this, it's not just to Chris Stone. You need to have the message of what you do clear in your mind so you can convey it to other people. And a lot of times you have so much in your head that you kind of miss stuff, like basic stuff. The person on the other side is just thinking about, what is the result to me? What is it? So who's the perfect home? So really narrow down. And that's what he's doing. This is a little coaching session. This is awesome.
Yes. Something I wasn't expecting here in the middle of the show, but I do appreciate it.
What category?
It's tough to do that, but I'll do my best. Usually it is someone, okay, before we even talk about category, they have to understand why they want a show. And so I disqualify a lot of clients, Steve, because they know they just want a podcast and they're like, because I just need one, right?
Well,
or my competition has one.
But here's my problem with that. You're telling me what if you see it, you'll know it, or if you feel it, you'll know it. But there's nothing there for me to think about, my head to spin. If you said I need an attorney, then my brain goes, my Rolodex goes, who do I know is an attorney, right? That might have some video, that might have written a book. Because that's so far, that's where I've gotten. But if you don't give me a category, you're because what like I said, I don't want to give you somebody like I just did on Bruce Pulver, and you're like, well, I don't know, he doesn't have enough video. Now I feel bad because I thought in my mind that would have been a good one. So,
well,
and
I
he
mean,
might
yeah,
be.
we looked at it for 20 seconds here, and we are live, so you know, there's a little more that goes into it. But I will, okay, I'll give you a category because most of the clients are here, and I have, you know, a number of sort of referral business based on sales trainers.
Sales trainers. All right, look up Xenix. Xinnix.
XNIIX.
Xinnix.
Why would somebody name their company? Is that his name?
That's the name of our company. It's a very successful sales training company. They're right here in Alpharetta. Casey Cunningham runs that company.
And they don't look, hang on a sec, let me accept something. They don't look like they have any sort of podcast, any sort of show.
Yes, so that would be a good prospect.
I did one of these with her, and she takes a video and snips it up to a piece or two and puts it out on LinkedIn almost every day.
Casey Cunningham, an excellent company. I would tell them that they need to have this somewhat more on their website as in the forefront.
Chris, you're killing me.
I know.
You're telling me all the reasons why these people won't work, but you're not helping me find a person that will work. All right, so go to.
By the way, this
I'm
is
not saying they wouldn't work. I'm not saying they wouldn't work. Just so you know, I just noticed that.
Pull up on LinkedIn. Pull up Jesse Cole. JESSE COLE. This is a home.
Jesse Cole, the yellow, Savannah Bananas. Oh yeah, I know Jesse Cole, of course. Yeah, Jesse was on this show.
We had him on the show.
Yeah, Jesse's amazing.
He would be a good one. How about Stephanie Stuckey?
Oh, I met Stephanie Stuckey. I spoke with her on at Peachtree Corners thing.
From Stuckey's?
Yeah.
The actual Stuckey's Corporation, the one that
she's the granddaughter. She took it over. The ones with the peanut log.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well,
I may stop at a Stuckey's on the way down to Orlando this afternoon.
So, all right. Listen, guys, hold on. I want the listeners who are still here just to watch. This is why Steve Beecham is a great guy to know. But secondly, this is why you need to become a Steve Beecham. Whoever's watching this right now sees all these opportunities that Chris Stone is getting and tossing aside on the scrap heap with all the others, dashed to bits on the jagged rocks below. He's torching it up. But it can go on forever. If you define who you really need, he's got someone to help you. What if you became that person? How many more friends would you have if you were able to do what Steve's able to do? So this is awesome. I appreciate you so much. So how can I help you? By the way, I have to call you later. We got to get a bunch of those people on the show. How is it I can help you? What are you looking for, Steve Beecham?
Every time you go and you speak, when you finish and they write you that check, you say, are you going to need another speaker? I got my friend Steve Beecham.
Boom.
You know what? We'll have to, we'll reciprocate with that.
I will do the same for you. And then both of y'all can help me. I'm doing one podcast a month. So I'm trying to right now, because I'm kind of new in it. I've done probably, I don't know, maybe a dozen or so. I'm trying to get people that people would recognize, kind of semi-famous people, if you will. So like I had the Lieutenant Governor on, I had Herschel Walker on, I just did Stephanie Stuckey this week. So if y'all run into any guests that would give my podcast some face credit, I would love to know about that person because I'd love to have them on my podcast too.
Okay, well, let me switch this around then. So if you're looking for guests on your podcast, who is your ideal guest? Who are your ideal guests?
My ideal guests are, I'd like to get Brian Luttrell on of the Backstreet Boys. He lives here in Alpharetta.
Do you know I worked for Sony for 28 years and I actually worked 6 Backstreet Boys records?
So I met him the other night, and he's got a son named Bailey that's got a musical career starting up. So I do concerts on the green in downtown Alpharetta. I'd like to get Bailey to do a concert, which would be cool, but I'd like to have Brian and Bailey on my podcast. I think that would be pretty cool.
Brian's put out solo records, contemporary Christian music, and so
and then I'd like to get one of the, coaches like a Kirby or a Dabo, but that's maybe a little more difficult, but I'm trying to get to Danny Hall, the Georgia Tech baseball coach. I think that'd be fun. I'd like to talk about that NIL stuff and all that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back in touch with Dale Murphy. I used to know him back when he played for the Braves, but I think he'd be fun to have on. And maybe some sort of pro athlete, basketball, baseball, football player. I had Paul Bird on that used to play for the Braves as an announcer, and he was one of my best podcasts. It was pretty cool. So I'm trying to get those kind of folks.
So Google Clay Louder, Winners Travel Foundation, who's also on this show. He's in with Clemson and Dabo. You had Ricky Kalman, or you were on Ricky Kalman's website. He and Ricky are best friends.
What's his name?
His name is Clay Louder, Lowder. He does a book called Winners Travel. Fantastic human being, and a big part of Clemson football. So there is that Venn diagram of Dabo Sweeney is closer than you think.
Oh, that would be so cool.
All right. Well, see this,
Ricky will
ladies and
connect
gentlemen,
you with Clay for sure.
Okay.
This is how it works. We're gonna have to redo this after the show, guys, because I got a 1 o'clock. I got to roll, but I can't. But listen, this is how business is done. Just by talking, by giving, and rocking and rolling. Steve Beecham, I thought you'd be good, but I didn't think that you'd be great and that you'd be awesome, which you are. I can't wait until you have your next event. We need to have a new do some of your what is it? Some of your whiskey tastings. We're gonna have another show
coming up, and you're invited to be a guru.
Whiskey sommelier. I'm gonna have some iced tea.
Thing, and we're gonna get some stuff going on together. This was awesome, really extra special. Chris Stone, you outdid yourself once again. I just can't. Listen, I am not. You might think that I'm unbelievably good looking. I'm not nearly as good before Chris Stone gets to me and makes me look like a champ. This is awesome. Steve, once again, I can't believe it. And for all you people out here who are sticking around to the end, I appreciate you more than you know. I wish nothing but good things to happen to you all for the rest of your life. It's one thing to learn a lot of information, but it's another thing to put it into action. That's what Steve does, and that's what I expect you to do, because you're the best. I'm the Deej, and we're going to kill him today. Go get him.